Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 136 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, what is up with you?
What's happening, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah?
You know, we haven't talked about the music in a while. The music just gets me jazzed up.
It does. You play like the air guitar
I
when it's
do.
going on.
I'm jamming.
I'm playing the drums, but even though there's no drums in it,
You're just putting your own drums in it.
I am. I'm like,
just
right here
snorted.
is what I do right
I
there.
just snorted, by the way.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm doing good. You and I just got done recording a brand new TCAT, which is out right now.
Yeah.
As people are listening to this.
Episode 154.
154. It's on Patrick Tracy Burris.
Yeah.
So we just finished up Gacy. I was looking for something a little different. Burris was what I'm calling a spree killer. I think he's a spree killer. There's some debate.
Right.
But he killed, 5 people, I think it was, in 6 days. To me, that's a spree killer.
Sure.
But there's more to it than that. The guy had a past, and I mean a criminal record, very, very long. It's one of those cases where people look back after the fact and say, why was this guy out?
Yeah. What was going on there?
You and I talk about that a lot.
It also had an interesting tie-in.
It did. With another serial killer in the same area. So definitely check that out. We've got the reviews are in.
Yeah.
Comes out every Tuesday. Don't forget about that. This last episode, Girls Can Pee Standing Up Too. Got some great feedback on that. People love your story about
the urinal incident.
The your urinal incident. Got some emails, got a lot of chatter going on about that. So check it out. If you haven't listened, give it a try. The reviews are in. Gibbs, we have some new Patreon supporters. Let's give our shout outs. We had Star McNeil.
Hey, Star.
Andrew Britton.
What up, Andrew?
Belinda Smith.
Hey, Belinda.
Kathy Liamos. Dirthy.
Hey, Dirthy.
Goisa.
Just Gorsa?
No, just Goisa.
Gorsa.
You're putting an R in there, and there is no R. Roger Bennett.
Hey, Roger.
Anna Jordan.
Hey, Anna.
Chantel Herbert.
Hey, Chantel.
Taryn Derry.
What's up, Terry?
Casey Linson. Randy DeVry.
Hey, Randy.
Kelly Jones.
What's up, Kelly?
Nick.
What up, Nick?
Jose Esquivel.
Hey, Jose.
Margaret Yarberry.
Hey, Margaret.
Joel Minima.
Well, don't be a minima. Be a maxima.
Amanda Morris.
Hey, Amanda.
Donna Hill.
What's up, Donna?
Graham Black.
Hey, Graham.
Amanda H.
Hey, Amanda.
Mel Jays.
What's up, Mel?
Lindsay Pretzel Wetzel.
Ooh, a pretzel Wetzel.
And you know me and pretzels.
And you know me and Wetzels.
Shannon Arnold.
Hey, Shannon.
And last but not least, Julie Miner.
Hey, Miner.
So we appreciate all that new support. And if we go back into the vault, Gibbs.
Okay.
This week we selected Dina Siegert.
Hey, Dina.
Good friend of the show. We've hung out with Dina at crime cons, and I can't remember if she was in Chicago or not a few months ago, but Dina is a very, very good friend of the show.
Yes.
We had some PayPal support as well. Christine Stevens.
Hey, Christina.
Heather Allen.
Hey, Heather.
Wendy Lewis.
What's up, Wendy?
And Ronnie Kumar.
Hey, Ronnie.
So appreciate everything. We really do.
Did you say Kumar?
Kumar. Mm-hmm.
I think of that movie with Kumar.
Harold and Kumar?
Yeah.
That
White
movie?
Castle?
Yeah. That's actually really funny. A lot of people hate that movie because they think it's dumb. But that's my sense of humor. I have a real, airplane. The dumber, the better.
Sometimes you just want to come home on the couch and just sit there and not think about anything.
Right. You don't have to think about nothing.
Neil Patrick Harris in that?
Yeah.
He's hilarious, if I remember right.
We got a brand new Patreon full episode coming out next week.
Yeah.
So Patreon folks, be on the lookout for that. If you're not, it's a great time to sign up.
Video too.
Video and audio of the same case. All right, Gibbs, you ready?
I'm ready
to get into this episode of TCAT Unsolved.
Let's do it.
We're talking about the 2009 disappearance of 17-year-old Brittanee Drexel. She lived in New York, went on a spring break trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and then vanished. Brittanee Drexel was born in Rochester, New York in 1991, which just happens to be the year I graduated from high school. Those kind of things make you feel old.
1991 makes me feel really old.
Can't help it.
I don't know.
She grew up in the town of Chile, New York, with her mother, Dawn, and her adoptive father, Chad Drexel. Dawn and Chad met when Brittanee was about 3 years old. So he was the only father that she had really ever known. Brittanee had a younger sister as well as a younger brother. But by 2009, Dawn and Chad had separated and they were in the process of getting a divorce. Brittanee was a junior in high school. She was attractive. She was popular. She was very athletic.
Just like you.
Just like me. Started playing soccer at an early age and was a very, very good player on her high school team. But I mentioned the divorce. That was very hard on Brittanee. I think divorces are tough on most kids.
Yeah.
I think divorces, when you talk about, okay, I'm a junior in high school. I have a lot of things going on already. Now you're springing this on me. I don't know. Does that make it tougher than, let's say, when you're 4 or 5 years old? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough all the way around, but I think you're
too.
right. I think when you're a little bit older and you can have a better understanding behind it, it probably hurts a little bit.
My parents got divorced when I was fairly young, 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
You know, I remember being shuffled back and forth. I mean, and they still had a pretty good relationship. It wasn't, you know, there was no acrimony or anything like that.
Right.
But I remember being shuffled back, you know, on weekends. I also remember getting 2 Christmases, multiple Christmases. So.
Yeah. But I think you're right. I think when you're older, I think sometimes the divorcing parents pull the older kids into the mix.
Instead of shielding them like they would maybe a younger child.
Yeah.
Like, you could be right. You could be right about that. But there's no doubt. It's pretty well documented. She had a very tough time with the divorce. There were some things out there, Gibbs, that she suffered from depression. So obviously a divorce is not going to help that at all.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's definitely going to make it worse.
Now, Brittanee had a boyfriend during this period of time, and they had their own issues as well, as all teenage couples do. So when you put it all together, this was a very tumultuous time for Brittanee Drexel. I think it would be for any teenager going through what she was at that point, but teenagers in general. I just think that time in your life is tough. There's a lot of things going on. You've got body changes. You've got this, you've got that. Everything's a big deal, right? Relationships with someone that may only last 6 weeks.
Right.
It's the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And when that relationship ends for some people, they don't see the other side of it.
Right.
Like you and I would at our age, looking back, you would think, well, that thing wasn't going to last anyway. You weren't going to marry them,
right?
Most likely.
Just a part of your life that you'll get over and move on.
But you don't think that way.
No.
Your teenage brain doesn't work that way.
But they're definitely highly emotionally charged, for
yes,
sure.
I would say that as well. Now, in April of 2009, Brittanee made the decision to go on a trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Now, the way I took it, Gibbs, from the research is that she went with a group of people. They were friends, but they weren't people with whom she was very close. I don't know if they were acquaintances, maybe somewhere between acquaintances and friends, if there is something. She wasn't going with her 3 best pals, I guess is what I want to make clear. She was going with people she knew, but not close with.
Kind of like when you went to band camp, you were put in that one cabin. You didn't really know all those guys, but...
And then I found you and we became friends. Remember that one time at band camp?
We were never supposed to talk about it ever again.
You walked right into it.
I did walk
You
into
thought
it.
you were digging me.
I did.
And I digged you back.
You hit me hard.
So pretty natural, right? A lot of kids, junior, senior year of high school, they want to go on spring break. They want to go away somewhere for spring break. A lot of times they want to go with their friends if they can drive.
Sure.
And they want to go unsupervised, unchaperoned.
So good spot to ask you. Did you go on spring break?
I think I didn't go until my senior year. My senior year, we definitely went to Myrtle Beach. I remember that.
Yeah. Unsupervised?
Unsupervised with one of the best fake IDs you've ever seen in your life. It was immaculate.
That means you made it then. If
And it didn't even need to be back then. That's what was so funny.
Right.
Now, I don't know how they do them today, but the IDs that we had in the late 80s, early 90s, you could fake those all day long.
I didn't need a fake one then, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean, though.
I did.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that Brittanee wanted to go. She wanted to go with some kids that weren't her best friends. Well, what that meant was her mom didn't know any of these people that she was going with, right? These weren't people that were at the house, that were staying all night. They were quasi friends at best. And her mom wasn't having it. Brittanee said, I want to go. Her mom, Dawn, said no. Brittanee tried to get her father to say yes. Remember, they're going through a divorce. What happens, Gibbs, when couples are either going through a divorce or already divorced when it comes to saying no to your kids? They're going to go ask the other parent.
Sure.
And a lot of times they're going to play one parent off the other. That happens. I'll admit that I did that as a kid.
Well, you had 2 Christmases.
I did have 2 Christmases. And if
I
I wanted a third, I would have figured out a way to get that.
Well, as a dad, I would say no also.
No, I'm right with you. This is one of those really tough things in life, right? As a parent, your kids want to do all kinds of things. Some of them, they either shouldn't do or the risk is too great and you're just not comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And you have to put your foot down and say no. It's just, something that we as parents sometimes have to do. You're talking about what will eventually end up being 4 girls going to Myrtle Beach by themselves. I get it. It happens all the time. Sure. She's also only 17 years old. She's not a college student who's gotten a little experience and knows a little bit more about how the world works. I wouldn't be comfortable with it.
Mm-mm. But I know there's parents out there saying, well, that's how you get them that experience is you have to trust them. You got to let them go live and learn. It's a tough line to walk.
And that's why I think it's up to each parent. I'm not saying that my decision would work for you.
Right.
I'm only saying what I'm comfortable with. I think every parent has to make that determination. Right. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And let's face it, it also comes down to your child. Everybody knows their own child. Some kids are much more mature than others at 17 years old.
And I think sometimes it comes down to who they're going with.
Well, that's the thing. And we go back and look at this. Her mom said, I don't know any of these girls. I'm not comfortable. Now, if she had come and said, my 2 or 3 best friends, we want to go, would that have been different? Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. But Brittanee was determined to go on this trip. She had made her mind up. So what she did, Gibbs, was she hatched a plan. At the time leading up to when this trip was supposed to happen, there was a bunch of fighting, as you can only imagine, between Brittanee and her mother these weeks leading up because it was a back and forth. I want to go. Let me go. No. Right? The answer is no. That doesn't stop children from begging, pleading, trying to bargain sometimes.
Man, mom and daughters can have some doozies too, man.
Yep. If these walls could talk,
yeah,
there's been some doozies in this house.
But like I said, it's the only time I've ever seen 2 people go at it and then all of a sudden act like nothing ever happened and happy as can be around
and now they're
each
best
other.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a strange dynamic between mothers and daughters.
Yeah.
It really is. But because of all this fighting, Brittanee asked her mom if she could stay with one of her good friends for a few days since she couldn't go on the trip, right? She's bummed. You're not letting me go on this trip. At least let me go stay with my friend. We'll both cool off. This thing will die down. I'll come back in, several days and we'll be back to normal. The problem is it was all misdirection so that she could make her getaway to go on this trip. And that's a very scary thought, Gibbs. It happens all the time. my daughters are staying over at somebody's house. Well, my oldest daughter was before she went off to college, but you know, people stay here, they go stay somewhere else. After a while, it becomes so routine that you really don't even think about it. You know who these people are.
Sure.
You know their parents. You don't always call over there and say, hey, I just want to make sure that my daughter's invited over. No, she's over there every weekend sometimes. No parent dreams that their child is going to say they're at a friend's house and then take off for South Carolina. That's not entering my head when I'm asked the question, can I go stay over at my friend's house?
Right. That's not even in the realm of possibilities.
No, it really isn't. But that is exactly what Brittanee did. She left for Myrtle Beach with 3 friends on April 22nd, 2009. The 4 stayed in a room at the Bar Harbor Resort on North Ocean Boulevard. How familiar are you with Myrtle Beach?
Really familiar.
Okay, good, because there's a lot of Myrtle Beach talk in this episode. Brittanee vanished on the 25th. This was 3 days into the trip. Now, this whole time, Gibbs, her mother believes that she's at her friend's house. She talked with Brittanee the day that she went missing, and Brittanee said, you know what, we're hanging out at the lake, and later on, we're going to watch some movies. She's talking about her friend that she's supposed to be staying with. Her mom, Dawn, said that she talked with Brittanee about making sure that she was home the next day for a family barbecue. And the last words she heard from her daughter were, Mom, I'll see you tomorrow. I love you. But again, this whole time, she's been in Myrtle Beach. She's in Myrtle Beach when she's talking to her mom on the phone. Now, Brittanee's boyfriend had also been talking with her every day by phone. They're texting, but he knows where she really is.
Yeah, he knows the truth.
Yeah, he knows the truth. But all of a sudden on the 25th, Brittanee stopped responding to texts and calls from her boyfriend. And anyone who has teenagers knows that is a very bad sign. Now, not if they don't respond to me, that's normal.
Right.
But if they're not responding to their BFFs or their BFs,
there's an issue.
There is a big issue. So Brittanee's boyfriend became worried. And I think pretty quickly, Gibbs called her mom and had to tell her the truth that Brittanee was really in Myrtle Beach.
Can you imagine?
I cannot. Getting that call?
Yeah.
No, I would be freaking out. Number one, that my child disobeyed me.
Yes.
And is in Myrtle Beach.
Right. Kind of getting your head wrapped around that first.
And then add on top of that, the fact that nobody can get a hold of her.
Yeah.
She's not responding to her boyfriend. I would be freaking out.
Yeah. Your anxiety level will be through the roof.
Yeah, no doubt. So a little bit about Brittanee and these people that she went to Myrtle Beach with, right? 3 other girls are staying in the same hotel room, but it sounds like, Gibbs, they pretty much went their separate way most of the time that they were down there. It wasn't like, from what I got in the research, that they were hanging out as a foursome this whole time.
So pretty much it was her ride down there.
That's what it seemed like.
And a bed or a couch or a floor to sleep on at night.
Yeah, it seemed like that exactly. Because essentially the whole time she's there, she's visiting with other people. And some of these people she knew from back home. On the 25th, and this is the most important day. This is the day that she vanished. Brittanee left the hotel that she was staying in, and she walked to another hotel called the Blue Water Resort, which was located on South Ocean Boulevard. So this is the main street, right? There along the beach in Myrtle Beach. North and South Ocean Boulevards are essentially the same stretch. I think South turns into North at one point.
It does, yeah.
And these 2 hotels were less than 2 miles apart. Security cameras at the Blue Water recorded her entering the hotel and then leaving around 8:45 p.m. And this is important video. In it, you can see that she's wearing a black and white tank top, shorts, and flip-flops. And it's important because Brittanee was never seen or heard from again after this point.
But when you talk about that video, you're talking about most likely the apparel that every girl her age was wearing. Something similar, right?
Yeah, I mean,
she's going to blend in.
It's not something that would really stand out.
Right.
I mean, I've seen it. It's not anything wild, crazy, super vibrant that somebody would see her in and say, oh, yeah, I remember her because of that.
Right.
It's very, like you said, pretty much what every 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old girl was probably wearing.
Well, and what you wore most of the summer when we recorded. I mean, shorts, tank top, and flip-flops.
Yep. Sometimes I wore men's. Most of the time I wore men's.
Sometimes.
Now we have to flip back to Brittany's mother, Dawn, and Brittany's boyfriend. They both have to be extremely worried, right? So they jumped in their car. They're going to drive to Myrtle Beach to see what the hell's going on. Brittany's not responding to anybody's text, phone calls. Something's wrong. Dawn would end up staying in Myrtle Beach for 2.5 months, looking for her daughter before finally she had to go back home because she had 2 other children.
Yeah.
That needed her.
Which it had to be a very tough decision.
Agonizing. As a parent, for your child to be missing and you're there, the last place that she was known to be, but you got to leave at some point to go back and take care of your family. You never want to leave your missing child, but you have 2 other children that need you as well. It's an agonizing decision, but I think one that has to be made at a certain point. Police get involved. They searched Brittany's hotel room and found basically everything that she had taken down to Myrtle Beach with her, with the exception of her purse and cell phone, which to me is to be expected. You leave the hotel, you grab your purse, you grab your cell phone. You're not taking your luggage with you just to go, somewhere for a few hours that night when you're expecting to come back. Police questioned the 3 people that Brittany was rooming with. There were some varying reports on these 3 individuals. One report said that the people that she went with never helped search for Brittany, which I would find very odd. Another report said that they searched for some time the next day, but then headed back to New York.
I think it just comes down to how well did they know her. I mean, if they didn't really know her that well, I know people were weird, they'd be like, I didn't really know her, and I got to get back to work. I got to get back to school. I can see someone doing that.
Well, I can see someone searching the next day and then saying, well, I'm scheduled to be back. I've got to be back. But what I don't understand is someone not pitching in, being worried, searching at all. Even if you had just a little bit of a relationship with somebody. And obviously they had some sort of relationship. I don't know the full extent of it. You would be worried about that person. Yeah. And you would want to try to help in any way you could. Again, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying there are varying reports of the level of participation by these roommates. Police were able to get Brittany's cell phone records, and they found out that her phone pinged a number of times about 60 miles south of Myrtle Beach, southwest, I think it was, on the day after she disappeared. And then the ping stopped.
Now, to me, that's intriguing. If you can try to map that out.
Yeah, which I think they have a pretty good sense of the location where these pings are coming from. Authorities conducted a number of searches for Brittany in both Myrtle Beach as well as the area where, the phone pinged, but came up empty. And in fact, Brittany's body has never been found. So we're in the 10-year anniversary of Brittany's disappearance. Her body has never been found. To me, Gibbs, and I hate to say this, but unless she figured out a way to disappear and reinvent herself, staying off the grid, it's not a good sign.
No.
It's not a good sign. It most likely means that she met a bad end.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking, it's pinging 60 miles south.
I think it's southwest. I think I said it wrong.
But just because the cell phone pinged 60 miles southwest doesn't really mean anything, right? Because somebody else could have had her cell phone.
Well, I think the only thing it means is that her cell phone was in that location
Yeah.
at a certain time. It doesn't necessarily mean Brittanee was there. And so I think that's what you're saying, and I think you're correct. So the authorities are doing all these searches. Volunteers came forward to do searches as well. These went on for 4, 5, 6 months. And these were pretty large scale searches made up mostly by volunteers. One report said that there were between 200 and 800 people searching for Brittanee at certain times. That's a lot of people volunteering their time to look for someone. Now, some of this was made up of services
Sure.
that provide this type of thing for missing people, but still, it's a lot of people.
But when you think about, Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, South Myrtle Beach, it's a vast area. So that's a lot of ground to cover. Just the beach area alone, then you get into the town and up and down the boulevard. Man.
Well, and it was spring break when she went missing. So for however many weeks after that, it was other people's spring breaks.
Yeah.
So you have to factor that in as well. Definitely would be the crowded time of the year for Myrtle Beach.
It'd just be so tough to carve your way through all those people. It's definitely a huge challenge. Clearly, it amounted to be a clear challenge.
Much more than searching the Myrtle Beach area in winter, I would think.
Yeah. Yep.
Work takes up most of your time. That's why you should use Stamps.com to save time with your mailing and shipping. Stamps.com will simplify your postage needs and add valuable time back into your workday, so you have flexibility to focus on more important things. Stamps.com can handle your mailing and shipping needs with rates up to 88% off UPS and USPS. Send invoices, checks, certified mail, packages, and anything else you need to keep your business running with Stamps.com. If you sell online, connecting with every major marketplace and shopping cart is easy. Plus, you can schedule package pickups through their dashboard and automatically see your cheapest and fastest shipping options from different carriers with Stamps.com's Rate Advisor. Add more flexibility to your workday with Stamps.com. Go to Stamps.com/program to sign up for a special offer. No contract, cancel anytime. That's Stamps.com/program.
All right, Gibbs, let's talk about some individuals that came up during the investigation into Brittanee's disappearance. The first person to talk about is a man named Peter Brozowitz, who at the time Brittanee disappeared was 20 years old. Apparently, this guy was some type of club promoter from the Rochester, New York area. So I kind of mentioned it, right? She knew some people that were down there. This was one of those people who was down in Myrtle Beach that Brittanee knew from back home. This guy was staying at the Blue Water with 4 other men.
Pretty common spring break. You're going to room up with a bunch of guys.
Yeah, usually as many as possible, because the more people you have, the less it costs you.
Yeah, you just were happy with a little spot on the floor, maybe the bathtub, depending. Who knows?
Well, you might have been. I'm not happy sleeping in a bathtub.
Well,
I'll pay the extra to get a bed. But knowing you would have been jumping up and down. I'll take the bathroom,
give me a
but I want $50 cut off every day.
That's right. I stay for free.
It's very clear that Brittanee knew this guy because they were together in the days leading up to her disappearance. This is the person, I believe, Gibbs, that Brittanee was going to see at the Blue Water, right? That's where the video surveillance was taken. This is the hotel that Peter was staying at. Some of the guys that were staying with Brozowitz said that they saw Brittanee at a dance club earlier in the week. And then later on the next morning, she came back to the hotel. They saw her there again. And then around 8 p.m., the night she disappeared. That all makes sense, right? Especially that last part.
Right.
Because the timing of the video of her leaving was 8:45. But these guys didn't know Brittanee at all. They only met her through Peter Brozowitz. I think where things start to get a little strange is that police have stated that Peter Brozowitz checked out of his hotel room at 1 a.m. the morning after Brittanee disappeared. The 4 other guys didn't check out, only Peter Brozowitz.
Which is bizarre.
I thought that was a little strange. Number one, to check out at 1 a.m. just seems strange in general.
Yeah.
Unless you have to leave and you're driving and you have to be home by a certain time. There are reasons why you would have to do that.
I guess if you calculated it out, you're like, I got to be back at such and such, so I'll leave here at 1
Right.
a.m.
But for most of us, checking out of a hotel at 1 a.m. is odd.
It is odd.
And I'm sure the police found it very odd as well. Brittanee's mother, Dawn, and this Peter Brozowitz guy later appeared on the Dr. Phil show. And it got a little heated, as it often does on the Dr. Phil show for people that have watched it. Brozowitz said that he didn't have anything to do with Brittanee's disappearance, and he was pretty upset about the fact that his name had been dragged through the mud. And I do think, Gibbs, that would be very tough. If you're one of the last people to see someone alive, you're going to be questioned.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt, your name is going to be in some of the official records. Your name's going to get out there. And if you really didn't have anything to do with that person's disappearance, that's rough, because in some people's minds, you're a suspect.
Yeah.
Just for the very fact that you were one of the last people to see this person before they disappeared. Add in the fact that you checked out at 1 a.m. the next morning, people are going to look at that as being suspicious.
And they're going to want answers. And if you can't provide them those answers and they think the reason you can is because you're trying to hide something.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, police questioned Peter, obviously. They questioned the 4 roommates. Nothing came out of it. So what's that tell you? Either their questions were answered satisfactorily, or even if they weren't, there just wasn't enough there to move forward with. Well, and he was pressed on the Dr. Phil show. And when pressed about, why he didn't do certain things, Peter said, quote, "I wasn't in Myrtle Beach to babysit." That doesn't make you sound great. It doesn't come off that good.
It doesn't. But you also have to remember at the time of her disappearance, he was 20.
That's true.
He was basically a college kid on spring break. I guarantee you hardly anybody down there was thinking about keeping an eye on.
No, I get that, but they're no longer on spring break, right? This is later. They're on the Dr. Phil show. She's been missing for some time. You would think even at 20, you would understand the gravity of the situation. So for me to make a comment like, "I wasn't there to babysit," wow, it just comes off as being flippant.
It's one of those statements you make when you feel like someone's got you in a corner and you're trying to come out and fight a little bit. And that, you're right, doesn't play well. Because why would you have to say that? If you were sitting on the other side, if I was on the other side, I would say, why'd you have to say it like that? Unless you were hiding something.
Yeah, I think to most people it came off sounding just kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
2 of the men staying in the room with Peter told police that they believe Brittanee had been arguing with one of her roommates. So one of these people that she was staying with. But we said they questioned the roommates. Nothing really came out of that. Now let's talk about a guy by the name of Timothy Deshaun Taylor. So Taylor was convicted in state court in 2011 of being the getaway driver in a McDonald's robbery where an employee got shot. So not good. You're not doing the right things here.
I know their fries and Cokes are good, but don't know if I'll be robbing it for it.
They're not that good.
No.
But for that, he was sentenced in state court. The FBI believed that Taylor played some role in Brittanee's disappearance. The FBI's into this. They're investigating. So in what was really looked at as a pretty rare move, they charged Taylor in 2016 in federal court. for the exact same crime. And it was reported that this is a very rare thing. You've already been convicted in state court. Now they're going to charge you federally for the exact same thing.
And that's a big move for the FBI to come out and say that they feel that he was involved in some way.
Yeah, they really haven't been shy when it comes to this guy in saying that they think at the very least he knows more than what he said. And authorities, after he was charged in federal court, they even came out and said that in some part, they were doing it because of his suspected involvement in Brittanee's case. So the question is, why did the FBI think that Timothy Deshaun Taylor had something to do with Brittanee's disappearance? Well, for that, we have to turn to a man named Taquan Brown. Taquan Brown was serving 25 years in prison for manslaughter. So obviously he's a good guy. While he's serving the sentence, he told the FBI that at the time Brittanee disappeared, he was in a house about 60 miles southwest of Myrtle Beach. And he claimed that Timothy Deshaun Taylor had Brittanee Drexel in that house, and he witnessed Taylor sexually abuse her.
That's a big statement to make.
It's a huge statement to make. That's how you get on the FBI radar, right? Somebody says, I saw you with a person that disappeared. And on top of that, you were sexually abusing her. Brown also claimed that Brittanee Drexel was shot while he was there. And then her body was dumped in alligator-infested water. Now, he claimed that Timothy's father, Sean, was the actual triggerman. So this is a guy doing 25 years. He not only implicates Timothy, but implicates his father, Sean, as well.
This is where the plot kind of thickens.
It's getting pretty thick.
Yeah.
At this point.
I mean, you're bringing in multiple players, and the way that he's saying it, I mean, it sounds...
Well, let's break it down. He's saying, I was in a house 60 miles southwest of Myrtle Beach.
Check that off the list.
Right. We know that Brittanee's cell phone pinged in that location. Now, the question is, Gibbs, did he know that? That's the question that I always ask when I'm talking about somebody that's in prison making a statement about somebody else. Now, Brown claims that he wasn't offered any deal, right? He's not making these statements to get out of jail earlier or anything like that. But you always have to ask it, right? What's in it for the person that is claiming or pointing the finger at someone else?
Well, you have to ask it. And if you don't, somebody's going to ask it eventually when it comes to
if it goes
arrest,
to trial.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you always say, a smart defense attorney is going to ask it and try to shred it. So based on the information they got from Brown, police questioned Timothy, and it was reported that he failed a polygraph test. And apparently, when they told him that he was being deceptive, he got upset and said, you know what? I'm done. This is it for me. I'm out of here. No more polygraphs, no more questions. But Taylor's never been charged in the case, right? Never been charged with anything to do with Brittanee Drexel's disappearance. In a 2016 interview with Myrtle Beach News 10 NBC, Taylor denied ever meeting Brittanee Drexel. He said, quote, the only thing I know is what I've seen on TV and bulletins and what the FBI has been telling me. He also said that he had never met Taquan Brown before. He didn't know this guy from Adam. But like I said, the FBI has not been shy about publicly naming Taylor as their main person of interest.
Well, he said he doesn't know the other guy. So if the FBI can in any way tag them together, definitely would prove that he's lying, maybe concealing something.
Yeah, but I think that's all it would do, right? It would prove that he's lying about that. Now, you could make the leap and say, okay, if he's lying about that, he's most likely lying about this, this, and this. Add on top of that the failed polygraph and how much weight you actually put in those.
Doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good, but it's not enough to charge somebody with murder.
No, because if what Taquan said, that they dumped her body in the alligator-infested water, they're not going to have any hard evidence to tie him to because there's no body.
No, not as it relates to her body or any evidence that might have been on her body that would tie the two together. And obviously we know they haven't figured out the missing puzzle pieces to prove that it's this guy, or they would have charged him. But the FBI has even said that they have some other witnesses who can back up Brown's accounts that Taylor was involved in Brittanee's death. But I don't know the details of it because it hasn't gotten that far.
And we wouldn't if it's still an active investigation. They're going to hold things back until they have enough to go for the arrest.
Yeah. Yeah, we know they do. But I do want to play a clip from the interview that Timothy Deshaun Taylor did with News 10 NBC in Myrtle Beach. I think it's important to hear him talk.
Did you kill Brittanee Drexel?
No, sir. I did not kill Brittanee Drexel.
Were you involved in the kidnapping of Brittanee Drexel?
No, sir, I was not.
Were you with Brittanee Drexel the night she disappeared in April of 2009?
No, sir. I was not with her.
You heard the allegations from this informant, this Taquan Brown. He says that you picked her up in Myrtle Beach and brought her down to McClellanville. First, I guess, respond to that statement by him. And I guess as a follow-up question, what do you know about Taquan Brown?
Well, from what he's saying have been the untruth, and so far they're working towards finding out more, but they have found out so far that the story wasn't true. And from hearing it is like, how could he just sit there and make such up a story like that just to incriminate me or to make me have to spend another sentence of my freedom because it's something that someone's telling them that I'm involved in when I really have no involvement in.
I don't know. I think when we can, Gibbs, it's important to hear some of the players in the story talk.
Sure.
You know, you get a sense of a person when you hear them talk. Now, the reporter is asking him questions that sound to me probably very similar to what a polygraph examiner would have asked.
Right.
Those first sets, the first couple questions, my assumption is that's how he answered it in the polygraph. If it's true that he was being deceptive, it doesn't look good.
No. I'm just sitting here wondering, did he understand the questions?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get a sense from him that he really had a good grasp on certain things. I mean, obviously language, some of his language was very strange. I mean, the way that he formulated sentences, some of them didn't make a whole lot of sense, but again, I have no idea what his IQ is. I don't know. I mean, I think he understood the questions this guy was asking because he did answer them. The answers just weren't what you would call like extremely coherent.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same word. Yeah. I mean, when you're taking a polygraph, how they ask those questions.
I do not know because I have not taken you're saying that like I've taken a bunch of polygraphs. I have not.
We're going to play it that way, aren't we?
Yes, that's exactly how we're going to play it.
Most polygraphs.
You mean the ones you've taken? Let's just be honest.
When they ask a question, they normally ask the question multiple ways to make sure so they're going to ask you it, you're going to answer, then they're going to come back and ask it
slightly different.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you should have the same response.
There's a methodology,
yes,
obviously, to polygraphs. Again, you and I have talked about polygraphs. I just don't know how much weight you can really put on them. They're not the end all be all that they used to be.
No, like we know there's only one state that actually recognizes a polygraph in the court.
Yeah, I think science has pretty much proven that they're not the reliable tool that we all thought they once were. And I'm also not saying that, Taylor's grasp on the English language or anything like that has anything to do with his involvement in the disappearance of Brittanee Drexel. Not at all. I just think it's important to get a sense of how people talk and how they answer questions. For one thing, Gibbs, he didn't sound very confident to me. And maybe that's just the type of person he is. You know, he wasn't adamant, I didn't feel, in answering the questions about whether or not he was with Brittanee, he knew Brittanee. He answered them. I just didn't get that confident sense from that interview. Now, in 2019, Taquan Brown gave an interview to television station WHEC in Myrtle Beach. In the interview, he claimed to have seen Brittanee Drexel at this drug house, the one that is 60 miles southwest of Myrtle Beach. He said he heard shots and assumed she had been killed. But then he said he saw her alive 5 days later. Then he said he saw her a few more times after that. Gibbs, he went on to give a different account of Brittanee's murder completely.
Yeah.
This time he said she was killed by a man that he called Nate. He said this man, Nate, shot Brittanee with a double barrel shotgun. So we talked about Taylor, but when you talk about Taquan Brown, this guy's all over the place.
Hard to have credibility when you change your story that many times.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. When you say 2 or 3 different versions of what is supposed to be the same event, you've lost all your credibility. How are we supposed to believe anything that you've said in the past or anything that you're saying now? And when you talk about, you know, why haven't the FBI been able to put something together against this Timothy Taylor? That's probably why. If this guy is supposed to be their star witness and they supposedly have other witnesses they're going to back up his story, which story are they going to back up?
Yeah, because
the first one, the second one, the most recent?
Yeah, or the one that's going to come later, you know?
Yeah, it makes it very tough.
And a defense attorney be like, I'll just chop this up real fast.
Brown filed a lawsuit in December of 2018 against a U.S. attorney, FBI agents, and some other people for publicly naming him. Right? He claims that he has been assaulted in prison and that there's a $15,000 bounty on his head for anybody that can kill him in prison. In the court papers that were filed, Brown says he is, quote, currently in imminent danger of death or great bodily injury. He also says that he believes the person behind the threats is Deshaun Taylor, the person he claims to have witnessed abusing Brittanee Drexel in the drug house. So there's a lot going on here with these two guys. It's hard to make sense of some of it. The other thing, Gibbs, that I was thinking is, so if you're Taquan Brown and you're in prison and you offer up the fact that you witnessed this, do you not think at some point that that information is going to become public and that everybody's going to know that you pointed the finger at this man, Timothy Taylor?
I mean, you think you'd have to know.
You got to know that, right? In June 2016, the FBI held a press conference in South Carolina where they announced that they believed Brittanee Drexel was dead. Heartbreaking for the family to hear something like that, that the FBI has come to the conclusion that your daughter is dead. The FBI said that through all of the investigative efforts, the most likely conclusion was that Brittanee was taken against her will about 60 miles southwest of Myrtle Beach to a town called McClellanville. You heard that in the clip. They believe she was killed there sometime later. Now, they never really came out and said exactly how they knew that Brittanee was dead, but they did say the evidence they had was, quote, exhaustive. That's somewhat of a strange word to use in that way. Not conclusive. Exhaustive to me usually means you've gone through everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that it all points to something. It just means normally that you've exhausted all your efforts.
At your wit's end.
But I think what it means is they're 100% certain based on the evidence that they've collected The FBI offered up a $25,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for Brittanee's disappearance. I do want to play a clip of Brittanee's parents speaking at the press conference. This is after the FBI has made their announcement.
After 7 long years of waiting and praying for the return of my daughter, we know she isn't coming home alive. Brittanee's life was stolen from her in a brutal and senseless fashion. I need your help in bringing the people responsible for her death to justice. They needed to be held accountable for taking the life of our precious young daughter. She had her whole life ahead of her. She had a lot of dreams and aspirations. They could have done this to anyone's child, but they did it to mine. So I am here now asking for your help. I know there's a mother, father, sister, brother, son, or daughter in the North Charleston County and South Georgetown County areas that has information that will help solve the murder of my daughter, Brittanee. Please help us to bring these killers to justice. Help us to put them in prison where they belong for the rest of their useless lives. They will never again take one of our children away in such a brutal fashion. We need your help so we can find Brittanee's remains and bring her home to lay her to rest. And make sure that monsters like this can no longer victimize this community or kill anyone else's child.
We need your help. We need everyone's help to bring something from her home to us. We need your help.
Really, the reason I wanted to play that is I wanted everyone to hear the emotion. So that was Dawn speaking first. She tried to keep it together in the beginning and really get out the message, but you could tell she started to break up as she went along. I believe that was Chad. At the end, he could barely speak. He was so broken up. Brittanee's parents both remarried, and they both started events and foundations in her memory. Gibbs, they've not stopped trying to find out what happened to their daughter. No parent would. We know that. We talk about it. According to an interview that Dawn did with the Horry County News in New York, she said that she believes that Brittanee was lured to Myrtle Beach with the promise of some type of job, most likely a modeling gig. She said that she thinks Brittanee was taken by someone and forced into the sex trafficking trade. And I talked earlier about Dawn spending 2.5 months in Myrtle Beach while she was searching for her daughter. She later moved to Myrtle Beach to continue the search.
I mean, when you talk about sex trafficking, human trafficking is so huge.
It is such a scary thing.
It really is, you know, and it's not really talked about a lot in the media, but the numbers are huge and it's scary and it's happening in every state.
Well, and I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people think this is something that happens in New York City, LA, big cities. This doesn't happen in small town USA where I live. This doesn't happen in Myrtle Beach or someplace like that. It does.
It certainly does.
I mean, these predators are everywhere. So Gibbs, you and I talk in a lot of the unsolved cases about what might have been, right? All of these cases are tragic. Brittanee would be 27, 28 years old now. What would she have done with her life? What could she have achieved? Would she have gone to college, found a career, maybe become a model? Would she have found her soulmate, started a family? She would be in the prime of her life right now. Brittanee's mother has said that she had dreams of modeling. She also had dreams of becoming a nurse. She definitely talked with her mom about wanting to get married and have a family someday. And I think it's, thinking about that and what her family goes through each and every day, that's really what breaks my heart about these types of cases. It's just that what could have been, and the fact that her family never got to experience those moments, right? As she got older, going off to college, getting married, having children, seeing her develop and blossom into, this great woman, they never got to see it.
No, those moments were stolen from them.
Yeah. And stolen from her as well.
Yeah.
You look at it both ways. If anyone knows anything about the disappearance of Brittanee Drexel, please call 1-800-CALL-FBI. And I think we'll end it on that note, Gibbs. We have some voicemails. You want to check it out?
Yes, check them out.
Hey, you guys. My name is Ahmed. I've been listening to you guys for years now. And I've always wanted to call in. I just never did. I'm caught up on everything. I just want to say I love what you guys do. And I'm actually Team Fergie. All right. You guys have a great one. Bye.
Yeah, I like Ahmed. He's short and sweet. Keeps it short and sweet. No, he has a really nice voice. I don't know if you got that.
No, I heard him say he's Team Fergie and his nice voice.
It wasn't because of that. I just thought he has a very pleasant speaking voice.
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
He just chooses to use the wrong word.
he said Fergie instead of Gibby. No, we appreciate the
Yeah, we
voicemail
do.
though.
Hey guys, it's Alexis from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I have a great case for you all to do. It's actually from the area I live at, just a little bit down the road. His name was Pazuzu Algarad. He would sacrifice people. They found people buried in his backyard, just in this regular neighborhood, just a nice, friendly neighborhood. And his girlfriend was also kind of crazy. She filed her teeth to fangs. So this is a crazy story. That's not his real name. It's actually a god's name, so he changed it to that. So you all really need to look into that, and that'd be a great case to do. And keep your own time ticking. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Well, I was going to say, Gibbs, I've never heard of that person. Probably most likely have never heard of his real name either.
Right.
I'm tempted to do that one. I just want to hear you say that name.
Well, she couldn't even say that name.
No, I want to hear you say it.
But she couldn't even say
Well, I know,
that
but
name.
it sounds like a very difficult name to say.
But she couldn't even say that name.
I get it. I think a lot of people would have trouble saying that name, and I want to hear you give it a try.
Hi, Mike and Gibby. My name is Liz. I'm actually from Vegas area. I've been listening to your guys' podcast for quite some time now, and I want to say I'm a huge fan. I actually love the Arthur Shawcross podcast, and I really do go back and I listen to your guys' first episodes, and it's kind of, you guys have come a long way. I'm really thrilled about that. One little complaint, and if you guys catch this, I really appreciate it. I have yet to see an episode on Theodore Robert Kell. Considering he is kind of what inspired a lot of people's obsession in true crime, I would love to hear your guys' input on that, hear you guys cover his story, because when we're talking about big baddies, he kind of fits the marker, and he's pretty much topped all of them. So if you guys do an episode of that, or if he's on your list, please, kind of to say it, but I want to hear it soon. And if you guys know who he is, bonus points. Anyways, thanks so much, you guys. You guys are fantastic. I love listening to you on my hour-and-a-half drive into work and back home. And keep your own time ticking. Thanks, guys.
All right. Appreciate that voicemail. So when I first heard that, Gibbs, I was like, I have no idea who she's talking about. I even tried to Google it, and I couldn't figure it out. Theodore Robert Kell. That's what I heard. So I was thinking like Kell.
Right.
And I thought Theodore Robert, that sounds like Bundy.
Right.
And Bundy's real name is Cowell.
Right.
So I think that's what she said. I heard it as Kell when I first heard the voicemail. So we have plans to do Bundy. I'm assuming that's who she's talking about at some point. Morph and I did Bundy. We did a season on Bundy on criminology, but you and I will do Bundy. I just think, he is a big timer. It will be in the form of Gacy.
Right.
You can't tell the story of Ted Bundy in an episode.
Maybe 200.
There's just no way. Yeah. Maybe it'll be at 200.
Hello, guys. It's Brandon from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I usually call in when I find something interesting on the internet, and today I found something else interesting on the internet that Jim's might want to cover. Robert Elmer. Look him up. It was strange. It's a really unique story, and it's pretty much everything you guys like to talk about. And I'm a huge fan. I love your show. I listen to it daily at work. And if there's not a new series or a new episode, I always jump on Unsolved, and I've been checking out the reviews. I particularly like the one with the fake pimple popper. But anyway, guys, keep up the good work and keep your own time ticking.
All right. That's a man after our own heart.
Yeah, he's listening to all three.
Yeah, love it. Loves the pimple popper episode.
Yeah, it was one of your favorites too.
So I thought he was like chopping broccoli there or something. I was chopping broccoli. Did you hear it? It was like,
I think he's tapping on his keys.
Well, maybe that's what it was. For me, it sounded like almost like that sound when you have a cutting board and you're chopping something.
Maybe he was using the that fancy banana slicer.
Maybe he went out and bought it after he heard about it on the Reviews Are In.
He was like, Gibby's got it. I got to have it.
But we appreciate it. We appreciate the fact that you're listening, and we just appreciate you calling in and being a part of the show.
Yeah.
All right. So that is the case of the disappearance of Brittanee Drexel and another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.